Welcome to Tree Gong Wisdom Council on EWN One with the Earth. I'm your host, Keira Lani, and I have an amazing journey to take you on today. So if you have ever experienced fear of death, wonder what happens after this life, or curiosity or a certainty that you know what happens in the afterlife, I'd love to bring in the perspective of the juniper trees of Sedona today to enlighten you, to expand your idea of what life after death really means. So let's drop in with the juniper trees of Sedona. I'm not going to bring you the wisdom from one tree this week, but rather a whole community of trees spanning 3 different locations and 2 different days of my time in Sedona. I had an amazing journey to Sedona last week. And while I was there, I went to this amazing location that you see behind me. I'm going to move to the side so you can see. This is the entrance to the stupa, the Buddhist temple grounds in Sedona. And this Shiva Nataraj is a Hindu morty. I seem to have left part of my English language skills in Sedona. So Shiva is the god of creation and destruction. And this image, this morty of Shiva Nataraj expresses how he dances between creation and destruction. It's a little hard to see in this image, but Shiva is standing on one leg with his graceful upturned foot extended. He stands on the back of Asmodeus, representing ignorance, squashing ignorance under his foot, and he keeps his balance with a steady level gaze, and his arms are all expressing symbology. In one hand, he carries the flame of destruction, and in the other, the drum of creation, and he expresses the mudra of fearlessness. When we are approaching death, death is a time of transition. Every ending is also a beginning. And of course, most of us know that Hindus believe in reincarnation, in not just an afterlife, but a new life that our spirit will be reborn into. And as we move along, we're going to learn a little bit about the way that some trees experience this. So, when I was in Sedona, everyone I met told me, you must visit this stupa. And so I took some time. I don't know if I successfully uploaded all of the images, but I took some time to drop in with the stupa. It seems that I did not actually get my Buddha picture on here. So you'll just have to imagine the Buddhist temple grounds with the Buddha and the stupa. Perhaps I'll be able to figure out how to get it up while I'm on video, but that would be quite a trick. So we're going to move on to the juniper tree that I connected with above the stupa. I walked above the ceremonial grounds, and a friend of mine had told me about this tree. She said there's a tree there that looks dead, but it's not dead. And this dead, not dead tree, when I dropped in with it showed me that it is expressing life after death. And this is also possible within our human lifetimes to experience. And it's a little bit different for humans to experience life after death while still in form. But this is very much a part of shamanic tradition to have what they call small death and then continue on in this form even after leaving behind parts of us. The tree is still holding the physical form, and yet its consciousness is transforming. And so this was the first tree that showed me, and the tree gave me a little stone, which I had here, but I seem to have mislaid. Going to Sedona is such an amazing, magical experience, being up in the mountains with these amazing rock people everywhere and the trees. And I'm still in the process of integrating and arriving back where I am. I wonder if anyone out there has ever had that experience where you have such a dramatic transformational experience, and then it takes a little time to integrate it back into your day-to-day life. So as we continue on, this was, like I said, the first tree that showed me how trees continue. And part of what this tree was showing me is that it is always still living through its community. And so here are some other trees that were at the Buddhist stupa, some other junipers, and you can see these ones were directly above the stupa, and they all had prayer flags connecting them. And so it was almost as if the prayer flags were illustrating how connected they really are. And this is such a beautiful image of the light and shadows and the colors and the darkness. So this is very, very representative, and we even have power lines running through this picture. And the power lines do interfere somewhat with the communication, but just like humans, just like when we have static on the radio, we can still hear, we can still communicate. Just like when there's, like right now, there's somebody's running some equipment outside and I can hear it, and it's a little bit disruptive to my consciousness, but it doesn't disrupt their ability to communicate. And these trees here at the stupa are very connected in community. So this is one way that trees experience life after death. They're connected through their roots, and they can send their consciousness and their energy through those roots, and they can receive that consciousness from the still living trees. And then I continued on this day to, oh, is this the right picture? It's hard to see in the thumbnails. Yes, I continued on to a park by the creek. Oh no, this is not the right picture for this story. So I will come back to this picture. It's a beautiful one though. Okay, I'm pretty sure I got this one on. Let's see, yes, this one. So I went for a walk by a creek, and this tree that's over my shoulder here is completely being devoured by ants. So all of the bark is just falling onto the ground around it as the ants are making their new home here. And this tree, I offered this tree some love and healing, And what it shared with me is that it is happy and willing to sacrifice its life for the good of the whole. And that is when I noticed that to both sides are perfectly healthy trees growing in a line. So they were to this side and also to this side. And this tree requested that rather than trying to heal the tree that is already infested with ants, that I offer my energy towards containing the infestation so that the other trees can live longer. So this is, again, one of the ways that trees continue their consciousness after their life, or even while their life is passing, is through their community, through the fact that they know trees always recognize that they are part of a greater organism. The individuals don't stand alone. This is also true for humans. We are part of a greater organism. We do not stand alone. So as I'm switching pictures, tune into in your life, when you pass from your physical body, how would you like to remain in your community after you are gone? Now, the next day, is this, oh, this is still that same community of trees. Isn't that a lovely one? See if I have the next day. There we go. The next day, I went for a walk. And I was walking slowly and really meditating a lot on this walk. And this tree, on the other side of this tree is where the trail comes down. And the trunk of this tree was worn smooth from so many people putting their hands on it. And I could feel in this tree that space between life and death. The trunk was worn smooth and had no bark, and yet all of the ends of the branches still have needles and strong life and presence. And this is the tree that first clued me in to what it's really like to transition as a tree from this life into the afterlife, or the experience of these particular junipers I connected with anyways. So what this tree showed me is that just like trees live for a very, very long time, they also take a long span of time to transition. And even when, like the tree that was full of ants, even when there's pain involved in that transition, they're so conscious and aware, so deeply conscious that they are actually witnessing their consciousness changing form. And I believe this is what the dead not dead tree at the stupa was showing me, which often I notice I need to receive pieces from different places before I get the whole picture. Does anyone else resonate with that? Do you ever need to feel, do you ever feel like you haven't gotten the entire message yet? Or do you ever notice that you've gotten one piece and you think it's complete, but then the other pieces come in and your understanding is greater? So the tree at the stupa shared with me, life after death is possible also for humans to experience life after death while in human form or while transitioning from human form. And these junipers near the 7 sacred pools across the valley over the Rocky Mountain from the stupa showed me that as they are changing form, their consciousness is changing form. Their consciousness does not dissipate, but rather becomes deeper and more complex. And so now we're going to go back to the picture that I brought up too soon, because these are really the trees that showed that to me. This is a stand of junipers where there were several dead trees in between live trees. So as you can see, there's a dead one, a dead one, a dead one, live, 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 partially dead, 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 partially dead, live, live, live. They were all, it was after I connected with two standing dead junipers on the trail, and I realized they were just as much conscious and present as the one that I just shared with you that still has all of its branches covered with greenery. And they showed me that they hold their consciousness in their form even as it's transitioning. A standing dead tree becomes home to many, many insects, microorganisms, birds, squirrels, creatures. And it was mostly the hive consciousness of the insects that the trees were showing me, that the tree consciousness, while transforming, while changing form, transforming, changing form into a home for insects, into a communal mind within its individual mind, is becoming deeper and more complex. Simultaneously, these standing dead trees are also part of a greater community represented by the forest. And so they are also maintaining their part of that whole, even as their form is transitioning into a shell of what it once was. This was such a beautiful experience to witness and be a part of. And I have one more picture to share with you before we go into our group practice of receiving the wisdom for your personal experience with life after death. So this tree, I did not, someone offered to take a picture of me, so I did not actually take a separate picture of this tree. And this isn't quite showing it as well as I would like to, but this tree had a branch on this side and then a similar branch on the other side. So it was like a menorah, like a candelabra, where you might have 3 candles. And then at the base of it was the shape of a yoni, of the opening to a woman's womb, the vaginal canal. And it was as if there was new life spilling forth from this dying tree. And it was just kind of the perfect, beautiful, tie a bow on it experience for this whole beautiful epiphany that came to me from several trees. And as I said, the trees are in council with each other all the time. Trees live their entire life in deep meditation. And as they are transitioning from this life into the next, their consciousness is changing form, even within their form. And the trees don't always talk to us just as one individual tree. Quite often, you will find that the trees are speaking to you through your experiences. They don't speak with words. They sometimes speak with images, with thoughts, with ideas. And they often speak by showing you what needs to be seen. And so for me to get the entire message that the Junipers of Sedona had for me, I visited 3 different locations over the course of 2 days. And I'd love to drop in with one of these images and see what the junipers of Sedona have to say to you. So take a moment to drop in, find your connection with the earth. Feel the breath breathing into you. Each time you inhale, receive the breath of life from this beautiful tree. And each time you exhale, give it back. We are in a cycle of breath, a cycle of life with the trees. And this is an infinite cycle. There is no birth without death. There is no death without life. So as you drop in with your breath and soften your gaze, soften your heart, and see if you can feel the connection between your life force and the life force of these beautiful trees connecting through the breath. And now tune in to the essence of who you are. That part of you that does not die. The soul essence, the spirit that embodies you. The spirit is what enters you with your first breath and leaves with your last. That which can take many forms and will still be you. Who are you when your body has disintegrated? As you gaze upon this image, begin to tune into the spaces between the trees, the spaces between the branches of the trees, the spaces between the needles of the trees. And as you gaze into these spaces, going into the minutiae, into the smaller and smaller spaces, tune into the space within you, the space between the cellular structure of your body, the space between the molecules that form your physical structure, and see if you can feel the space within you blending with the space between the trees, the space between you and the objects in the room around you. What is within that space? Can you sense it? Can you feel it? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Does it have a smell or a taste? Does it have a sound? How does the space within you connect to the space within the trees? And what does this experience point to? Now bring your awareness back to your breath back into your body, into your physical awareness. Rub your hands together to help bring yourself back and ground in this experience. Take a deep breath and place your hands on your heart, feeling the presence within you. And what will you invite into this presence? How will you integrate this experience into your day-to-day life? And as you recognize the equal beauty of life transitioning to the beauty of life in form, how will you fully utilize this transitioning form from the moment we're born? We're moving through life towards our death, towards the next life. Each moment of this existence is precious and rare. How will you utilize your precious life to leave a legacy of love? I'd love to hear from you in the comments, or feel free to reach out to me. Keira Lani, Tree Gong Healer on Facebook, Tree Gong Healer on Instagram, Keira Lani, Tree Gong Healer on YouTube, and Tree Gong Healer on Twitter. And let me know, excuse me. Let me know. I think I inhaled. Oh, I think I was being reminded to share with you the amazing healing properties of these junipers. This is the other thing that the junipers shared with me, and they were reminding me. They remind me of things, and the strangest things sometimes, by making me sneeze, of all things. When you do go to visit a tree, the next time you go to visit a tree in your area, or if you're traveling and you stop to visit one, I invite you to try this. Place your third eye on the bark and breathe in the aroma. Each and every tree has different healing phytochemicals that it's releasing. Now, conifers, pines, cedars, junipers are a cedar tree, pines, cedars, firs, they have especially pungent aromas that are really healing to the respiratory tract, to the sinuses, the lungs, the throat. And so this is one way that we can protect ourselves from illness and boost our immune system, to go and breathe the phytochemicals that the trees are emitting. The trees would love to assist you with opening your airways and allowing in more breath and more life. And when you exhale, you're returning the favor, because trees breathe carbon dioxide just like we breathe oxygen. So we are continually cycling and filtering the air for each other. Isn't that amazing? So I wanted to add that in. And if you would like to learn more about how you can join me to commune with trees, to practice tree gong wisdom counseling, to connect with the portal in your heart and open the portals wherever you are, as well as connecting with sacred sites on the planet, go to practiceselflove.com to see how you can join me in Mount Shasta, June 9th, 2021. Or shoot me a message on social media, or send me an email at keiralani@gmail.com to find out how you can join me in Sedona or for other future retreats. And in the meantime, keep tuning in to all of the amazing programming on EWN, One with the Earth, and all of the Enlightened World Network channels. There is so much goodness happening in this amazing community of light workers. Thank you so much for joining me today for Tree Gong Wisdom Council, dropping into life after death with the amazing juniper trees of Sedona. We will be in Sedona in September, so if you're feeling called to Sedona, let me know so I know how many to plan for. And if you're feeling called to Mount Shasta, I have just a few more spots left for that retreat, June 9th to 14th. There will also be a virtual retreat option. So if you can't come to these retreats and you would like to receive the healing available and the transformation and connect to the sacred sites from the comfort of your own home, that is also available. Go to practiceselflove.com/Shasta retreat to find out how you can join me next month. Or just follow me and stay tuned for coming adventures. So much love and blessings to each and every one of you. Keira Lani, Tree Gong Healer, signing out. You deserve all the love. Mwah.